If you've played on the Hive for a while, you may have noticed that seasonal updates are a really big thing for the server. Events like Christmas, Spring, and Halloween have all had events on the Hive in the past, and this year is no different. It's spooky month once again, and the Hive just released their 2021 Halloween update, and it just happens to be the biggest and beefiest update that we've had on the server in the past 3 or so months. In this video, I'm gonna go over all of it and talk about everything that's changed. I'll talk about the new Halloween hub and the Rune Hunt that comes with it, show off the new limited time game mode called Ghost Invasion, go over the new Halloween themed maps that show up in some game modes, and discuss some of the future updates that the Hive has been hinting about on their Twitter. Interested? Let's get started. So, like I said, this update is pretty beefy, but you wouldn't actually think that by just looking at the updates page changelog. I can fit the entire thing essentially in a single screenshot, but I also think that's because they tried to keep it pretty concise. Regardless, like I said, I'm gonna go over everything that I could find that changed on the Hive in this update. Let's start off with the easy stuff. Right when you spawn in, you're gonna see a brand new hub. It looks quite spooky to say the least, with a very dark theme, obviously, again, to highlight the Halloween season. Now, as some of you may know, seasonal hubs usually come with seasonal activities as well. Usually the activity is a scavenger hunt and you're just supposed to go around finding different items. This year though, it's a little bit different. While you're still trying to go around finding items in the form of runes, you actually kind of have to do things to get the runes. Those things are as follows: a super long parkour, portal doors, kind of like that Fall Guys game mode if you remember that, maze door puzzle, which is fairly self-explanatory but requires a decent amount of brain power, alternating parkour, which seems like it should be easy on the surface but really isn't, platform toggle where you have to time your parkour on different platforms, and finally invisible path, which again is kind of self-explanatory if you just look at it. If you need help figuring out where these runes are or how to complete them, my friend Danny made a video explaining how to do all of them. I'll leave a link to that in the description. Once you've completed all of those and gathered all 6 runes to put in the door below spawn, you unlock a hallway which basically takes you down to the bottom of the hub where you get some rewards for completing it. You get a new costume called the Sorcerer, you also get a hub title called the Sorcerer, and you get a Hive avatar called Wraith. Something to note is that there are actually coins next to all of these rewards, and if you click on them, you get quest points. Don't forget to get those while you're down there. You can also explore the rest of the hub. Like I've said, it's Halloween themed and there's plenty to see, and I'll mostly leave it up to you to go find all of the cool Easter eggs. Something I do want to mention though is that both the regular and hardcore parkours in the hub have been changed a little bit. Both of them have become a little bit easier, with the regular parkour getting some shortcuts, and the hardcore parkour just becoming kinda easy now, taking you up to a dragon head, but there's still changes that I figured were worth noting. Either way, let's move on to the new limited time game mode that the Hive released for Halloween this year, which isn't actually all that new because it was here last year. It's called Ghost Invasion, and as the Hive describes it, it's basically their take on the game Infection. The way it works is simple. There are 2 teams, ghosts and humans. The ghost's job is to explode near humans, and if they do, they convert that human into a ghost. The ghosts as a team have 100 lives to try and take out all of the humans in the game. The humans' job is basically the opposite. They've got a ghost zapper and they're trying to not get infected by the ghosts. If they can outlast all of the ghosts' lives or just run out the clock, the humans win. If the ghosts manage to infect all of the humans, the ghosts win. Again, a pretty simple game. Now, I personally actually really like Ghost Invasion. I find it really fun, especially as someone who likes to aim, and Ghost Invasion gives me my aim game fix. I realize though that this game mode is probably going to be pretty hard for mobile and controller players. It's quite a lot more difficult to aim on those platforms as opposed to keyboard and mouse, but it is about the same difficulty across the board when you're controlling as a ghost. It should be pretty easy to secure kills just since you have to go near someone and explode to get a kill. Regardless, I know some people are unhappy that there was no new game for Halloween this year, and I somewhat understand where they're coming from. From what I know, the past 2 years before this also had Ghost Invasion as the Halloween limited time game mode. I even made a video on it last year. Still, I personally enjoy the game mode and I find it fun to play, and so I'm not too disappointed with it showing up again this year. Either way, there have been a lot of changes with maps in this Halloween update, and not just Halloween maps. The majority of them follow that theme though, with some new Skywars solo maps being Crypt and Village. In fact, let's start off with Village. Evident is going to have a field day on this one. It feels like your average Skywars map, but with quite a lot of wacky blocks and fun things that you can use, and I could see this one possibly getting a reskin after the Halloween event is done just to become a regular Skywars map. I honestly really like this one and find it fun to play on. On the other hand though, we also have the new Skywars solo map Crypt. I personally don't really like this one, and I don't find it fun to play on. On the surface, it actually looks like a pretty cool map because of the design of it, but immediately once you drop in, you'll see the problem with it. The spawn island is just way way too large. It takes basically all of the starter protection time just to get to all of the 3 chests, and that's pretty much without mining anything. Yes, I get that everyone else in the game is going to be slow looting their island as well, but it just seems like most of the Skywars solos maps that we have now give you enough time to loot all of the chests and mine a little bit before it's time to go to mid, and this one doesn't, which surprised me and I honestly don't really like. I feel like Crypt is one of those maps that could honestly probably just be a duos map with a little bit of redesign, and you wouldn't have to redesign much. Take out 6 of the existing starter islands, rework how the in-between islands are placed a little bit, and you're pretty much golden. The starter islands are big enough to where you could probably just add a second spawn pedestal and there'd be enough space for both people. A little bit of a disclaimer after all of this, I'm not a game designer, I don't actually know if this will be the best decision, but I'm not a fan of how the map is currently. It looks cool, but I don't think it's practical to play on. Moving on though, there are also some new and updated maps in Treasure Wars. As for the new map, it's apparently actually a really old map that they brought back called Haunted. I've personally never played it, so I'm kinda just taking their word for it. Regardless, Haunted as a map is kind of weird to say the least, but I don't know if it's a bad kind of weird. To get to your neighbor, it's a full 32 block rush, but there's not really an island in the middle that you can stop at. You just literally go straight there. The middle area is also kind of wacky. You have to go upstairs to get to any of the emerald generators, and overall it seems like a duos type map design, but more compact like a solos map, if that makes sense. I think it's kind of fun to play on and definitely a different style of Treasure Wars to say the least. Also in Treasure Wars solos, there were 2 maps that were changed or reskinned a little bit. The map Neighborhood was given a Halloween makeover and is now called Trick or Treat for the time being, and also everyone's favorite map Mushroom was changed a little bit as well, but not Halloweenified. Instead, the fences that used to be up around the islands were removed, and in their place, some rocks were added. Apparently, this is what Mushroom used to look like before a spring update a year or 2 ago, and they just kind of forgot about it until now. I'm pretty sure that this is the Mushroom that we're gonna have to get used to, at least until next spring. Now, I'm pretty sure that those are all of the major map updates, but one more thing to note is that all of the pre-game lobbies also got Halloween reskins. You can go check those out on your own if you want to. So, we've covered almost everything new that's happened on the Hive recently, but one more thing that I want to talk about is a tweet that went up on the Hive Games Twitter account at almost the same time as the Halloween update. Here's what it reads: "There will be another update next week, and the week after that, and the week after that." Now, I know, call me all you want for making a video memeing about people who speculate on Hive updates, and then doing the exact same thing in my own video, but let's actually think here a little bit about what this tweet might mean. Basically, according to the Hive, there are going to be 3 updates within the span of 3 weeks. Now, no one really knows what these updates are actually going to be, but I feel confident enough to make at least a few educated guesses on what they might be. First off, at the bottom of the Hive's Halloween blog post, which is separate from their updates page, they say that they're currently applying their final touches to their biggest Skywars update yet. We already know that the Hive is working on a Skywars Kits game mode, and combine that with the fact that they say that there are going to be new game types, maps, cosmetics, and gameplay features in this update, I feel like it's safe to say that there's just going to be a really big Skywars update soon. Still, that's only one of the updates, and the Hive says there are going to be 3. Another update that I actually think is coming soon now is Replay Viewer. I say this because just recently, Hive helpers apparently got access to replay mode, and you can assume that they're testing it with more people than just the Hive paid staff and mods. I wouldn't be surprised if after this helper testing period is done, it moves on to maybe content creators next, and then the general Hive public. Even still, that's only 2 updates. And for the last one, I honestly don't have a clue what it's going to be. I can rule out a couple of updates. Clankstar confirmed that it's not going to be Swarms, and you can reasonably assume that it's probably not going to be Mixed Arcade, just because the Hive isn't going to release 3 bangers 3 weeks in a row. You just don't want to oversaturate content. Maybe it'll be a smaller game update, or maybe a UI update or something, but I don't expect 3, or if you count the Halloween update, 4 huge updates in a row. Still, if you want to learn about another reasonably large update that happened on the Hive about 2 months ago, I recommend going and watching my video on the Hive's custom server update that happened a while back. Regardless, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.